Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game from Côte round 5, the Rapid tournament. It's Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. It's a very interesting game. As you all see, I'm not in my usual settings. I'm in Makarska. As I mentioned, I will be visiting a chess tournament here, and I have my laptop here, so I hope everything is working properly. The sound, the interface, hope I didn't mess everything up, as I didn't use my laptop. Last time I used it for recording was during the World Chess Championship in London, so hopefully everything is working fine. If not, do comment on it, so I will try to improve it for the next video, if I will be recording more videos from here. That being said, let's check out this very nice game. I've seen you've been suggesting some other games too, but I will try to cover them. Not sure if I will be able to, but I will definitely try to make time. So without further ado, Carlsen has the white pieces and he opens with e4. And I do have to mention, if you hear some loud noises like screaming, yelling, or some music, don't be alarmed or anything. There are a lot of drunk students, around here, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, just so you're prepared. E4, and of course that means Carlsen is ready to face Maxime's c5 and the Najdorf, as Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is known to be one of the greatest Najdorf players of today. Knight to f3, we have d6 by MVL, d4, c captures on d4, knight captures, and now knight to f6. We have knight to c3 and a6, the Najdorf defense is on the board. We have bishop to e3 by Carlsen, and now comes knight to g4. As the bishop is now open to attack, we have knight to g4. Carlsen, of course, isn't interested in trading bishop for knight, so we have bishop to g5. It's a very known line. h6, bishop to h4, g5, bishop to g3, and bishop to g7. I played this position with the black pieces once in a classical tournament, but I didn't really know how to play it. I don't remember who I played it against, but I lost that game. But if you like it, of course, you are more than welcome to play it. As you can see, Maxime plays it, and he's known to be one of the greatest experts. We have queen to d2 by Carlsen, and now comes knight to c6. And Carlsen doesn't want to allow this trade or further defend the knight, so just knight to b3 retreating. And here there is a known game from 2015. Ruslan Ponomarev played against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. In that game, Maxime went b5. Maxime was able to win that game, but here he goes bishop to e6. He deviates from that line from 2015, and Carlsen replies with h4. And this is not a new position, still this is all theory of this opening. G captures on h4, bishop captures on h4, and now there is a known game from 2011 from the Amber Rapid tournament. Carlsen played it against Grishuk, and Grishuk played queen to b6 here. Carlsen was able to win that game, but here Maxime goes for b5. And now, again, it's not a new move, f3 is a known move in this position. But Carlsen goes for f4, and f4 is a new move in this position, so it would seem that this time Carlsen outprepared Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and now we have a completely new game. So let's see what happens. First, b4, grabbing more space on the queen side, dislodging Carlsen's knight to a less favorable square. With knight to a4, and now queen to c7. As Carlsen will be castling queenside, it's always useful to have a queen on the c file. And on the other hand, you are moving your queen out of this diagonal. So we have castles by Carlsen, a queenside castle at that, rook to b8 now, and king to b1. Just always a useful move. Black still has a dark square bishop. You never know when a move like h5, bishop to h6 may happen. Always a useful move, king to b1, especially when facing the Sicilian. And now knight to a5, just trying to trade pieces and improve the position of black's queen. Knight captures with queen captures, and now comes b3, defending this knight. And here Carlsen also sets a trap, and it's a very nice trap. For example, bishop to d7 seems like a very normal move. You want to either dislodge this knight from here, let's say knight back to b2, or you will capture it and then mess up white's pawn structure on the queen side. But it would be a huge blunder, as the white can easily win the game here by just going bishop captures on e7. And now, of course, if you capture, then queen captures on d6 is sufficient. So black would probably go bishop captures here, but now just queen captures on d6, attacking the rook here. Black can go queen b6, defends the rook, offers a queen trade, but now just b captures here. And after captures, you would have this position where if the a pawn is lost, then the position is lost. Black would have to defend. And then a lot of ideas are winning for white. You can just go, let's say, bishop c4 to maybe d5 to c6, and that will be game over for black. But, you know, a very, very interesting position where if something like this seems like a normal move, but it would lose you the game. So you do have to do something about this pressure Carlsen has in the center. Queen back to c7, not allowing any captures here, and now just bishop to e2. Continuing development with h5 by black, and now Carlsen goes f5. Pushes the bishop back. We have bishop to d7, now attacking the knight here, and of course Carlsen does not react. First he captures the knight here. We have bishop captures on g4, and now you have to capture on g4 as well. If you try and do something like bishop captures here, then f6 will be deadly. E captures on f6, just bishop to g3. Now, if you capture, then white can always trade the rook here. Let's say captures, 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 and now bishop captures on d6 will be sufficient for a win. Rook d8, a pin for a pin, captures, captures, and after captures, you would get this position where Carlsen is up the exchange in a winning position. So, after bishop captures on g4 by Carlsen, we have h captures on g4 by Maxime, and now Carlsen finds a very nice way how to win a pawn, and that is queen to g5. Just attacking the e7 square here, that means this is the threat of checkmate, and also the queen will capture the g4 pawn. So here you might think, okay, why not bishop captures on a4? Surely now the queen defends the e7 square, everything is alright, but the bishop on g7 is also under attack, so you do have to take care of everything. Maxime takes care of it by one move, bishop to f6, preventing checkmate, getting the bishop out of harm's way, and now Carlsen just grabs the g4 pawn. With queen captures on g4, bishop captures on a4, with bishop captures on f6, rook captures on h1 first, not allowing, of course, rook captures on h8 with check, rook captures on h1, and now e captures on f6. And here, Carlsen has to decide whether he goes b captures on a4 or does he first want to trade rooks. The problem is with rook to h8, if you go this, then you get king to e7, rook captures, and now black doesn't capture the rook, but he has this very nice Zwischenzug, bishop captures on b3. You have to capture the bishop, otherwise you're getting checkmated. So only after c captures you would get queen captures on b8, and here it's pretty much a drawn queen and pawn endgame where the material on the board is equal. Carlsen, of course, is not interested in this. He goes b captures on a4, and now king to e7, not allowing any rook to h8 tricks. So Carlsen allowed his pawn structure on the queen side to be ruined with this b captures on a4, but it's not all that easy for black to take advantage of this. First, queen to f3 by Carlsen. He's preparing queen to d3, as of course black will try to create a lot of pressure along the c file. We have rook to c8. Now Carlsen has to defend the c2 pawn. Queen to d3, and now a5, just improving the position. We have rook to d1. Now Carlsen also makes sure that MVL has to keep an eye on the d6 pawn, and now Maxime goes for rook to g8. His plan is rook to g3, and then he wants to go rook to a3. From there, the queen can maybe go to c4, maybe pressure the a2 pawn. A lot of ideas are possible here. Carlsen plays queen to e2, doesn't want the g2 pawn to be captured, so now rook to g3 becomes possible. Rook to g3, we have queen to f2, attacking the rook, but also keeping an eye on the a7 square, which will be an important square in this game. Rook to a3 as planned by Maxime, and now Carlsen just goes for g4. Interestingly, if queen to c4 going for this idea, now queen to a7 will be a way for Carlsen to defend and enjoy his extra pawn. King f8, now just queen to a8 check, king back to e7, queen b7 check, and let's say after king f8, now queen to d5 just blocking, and the capture on a2 is impossible. Here you would get captures, rook captures, and after rook captures on a4, rook captures on d6. Carlsen would once again have this rook and pawn endgame. He would be up a pawn, and it would be, well, it would be hard for black to play this. On the other hand, if you try something like queen to c5, this is the best idea for black. Here, just after captures, now you don't go for the a4 pawn, you just, let's say if white goes rook to d5, now you defend it, rook to c3, and you try and hold this position, and it is definitely tenable. So, after g4, Maxime doesn't go for queen to c5 or queen to c4, rather he immediately goes for the pawn grab. Rook captures on a4. But rook captures on a4 doesn't work. It's a blunder, unfortunately for Maxime. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the winning idea for Magnus here. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Not too much because, you know, the drunk students might start yelling. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent pusher of pawns. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, G5 is the move. And now you see the problem. White will win the F6 square no matter what black does. If black doesn't capture, there's also this problem of, let's say, if black moves, queen e2, that's the idea. Queen b5 will come with check and the rook is vulnerable there. So let's say rook a3, just defending, but now pawn captures here. And now you control the very important e7 square. Let's say queen c5, now just queen to a6. And you will have a lot of checkmating ideas here. Black will not be able to hold this. You can go rook to h1, you can go the other way around. It will not be possible for black to defend all the threats. So here Maxime decided to simply capture it, but now, of course, the move you had to see, f6. This is the idea Carlsen had. Again, the e7 square is won. We have king to e8, and now Carlsen continues in a similar fashion. We have queen to e2, going for b5, and now Maxime wants to get the rook into the game as quick as possible. First, b3. And it's also a tricky line, because now if Carlsen just goes for this queen to b5 check, it will be a forced draw. This is what Maxime had in mind. After queen d7, you cannot capture the rook. So now Carlsen would have to settle for a draw after queen b8 check, and now just queen d8, queen b5, queen d7, queen b8 check, and here Carlsen would have to repeat moves. If he doesn't, if he trades queens, then it's not a problem for black. Just a captures on b3, rook captures on e4, and now you have this position where the material is completely equal, but black's not completely equal. Black is up a pawn, and the f6 pawn is now a weak pawn because Carlsen just sacrificed a pawn to gain some sort of an initiative. So after b3, Carlsen of course does not get fooled by this. He goes a captures on b3, says thank you for your pawn, and now rook to b4, hoping to bust open the position with a4. But now Carlsen wastes no time, just e5. A temporary pawn sacrifice, but the rook will recapture the pawn with rook to d5 and rook captures on e5. We have d captures on e5, there's really no better move, and now comes rook to d5, going for the pawn. King to f8, getting the king out of the way, and now just queen to h5. Carlsen is now threatening checkmate. As you can see, the pawn controls of both the e7 and the g7 square. We have rook to h4, preventing checkmate, but now queen captures on g5. Queen g7 is a threat now. Maxime defends it. We have rook to h7, and now Carlsen plays queen to d2, and it was in this position, on move 42, that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave resigned the game. And an excellent victory for Magnus Carlsen in round 5 of this very nice rapid tournament. He also won a game in round 4 against Sergei Karyakin. I will try to show it if I manage the time, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Why did he resign? Well, now there's really nothing to do here. You have to prevent rook to d8. That's the immediate threat. So let's say king to e8, but now you just go rook captures on a5. Of course, the threat is rook to a8, and after black prevents this, queen to c6. Now you get rook to a7. Now, what do you want to do? Let's say you go queen to c8, preventing any tricky ideas. Now comes queen to d5. Already you're threatening a lot of nice ideas you can capture on e5, and after queen to b8, defending the pawn. Now you get to this queen to c6 check, king to f8, and now a beautiful mate in 3. Of course, you all see it. Queen to d6 check, a nice temporary queen sacrifice, but it's for a checkmate. Rook to a8 check, queen has to block here or here, it doesn't really matter, and of course rook will deliver checkmate. The pawn still guards these two squares. Well, not that one, but obviously these two. And of course, it's only one line, but it's one of the nicer ones I decided to show. So yeah, after this queen to d2 move, Maxime decided it was enough for him, and he resigned the game. So Carlsen's still undefeated in this tournament. I believe he's undefeated for, I don't know, almost 70 games now, if you consider everything like the classic rapid and the blitz, which is definitely a lot. It's not close to Ding Liren's 100-game win streak, but you know, he's getting there. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. We managed to finish this video without any yelling or music, which is much more than I've hoped for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will definitely try to do another video, so hopefully, you know, we will see more games from day 2 of the Qd2 rapid tournament. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and as usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Sorry, I'm a bit disoriented, as you know, I'm in a different setting, so it's not going smoothly as usual. But you know, sorry about that. But yeah, thank you all. I will see you soon and have an excellent rest of your weekend.